Good morning, my neighbours!
It's time for an alternative paper review.
Ladies and gents, it's Tuesday after a long bank holiday weekend, and it's time for an alternative paper review.
Prince Andrew's a nonce burger.
First up to the Sun this morning, after the England kit debacle, Union joke. And of course, this is a story that the Olympics, Team GB, have egregiously, insensitively, unpatriotically redesigned the Union Jack for their new uniforms and their emblems and coverage and all the... I can't believe that they've done this. I mean, apart from the fact that they always do this. Honestly, like every sporting event, major sporting event, international, for the last like 20, 30 years, they've played with the logo a little bit. Italia 90, España 94 or whatever it was then, London 2012, and now this latest iteration where they play with it a little bit, make it look a little bit funky. Oh, well, that's weird, Aid, because everyone in alt-right flag emoji Twitterland are acting like this is some egregious woke assault on Britain. Yeah, which is strange, isn't it, when you think about it? Because if we have been playing with the Union Jack for 20, 30, maybe 40 years, that is the sort of the staple. That is the standard, right? But if people are getting progressively, aggressively more and more annoyed at it, what does that tell you? That tells you that it is that subsection of people who are getting more and more like weird and radicalized and exaggerated and extremist. I mean, don't tell them, right? But do you know what else has been played with and tweaked over the last 40 years as well? Yeah. The English language. I mean, even the word woke is an aberration of an actual English term, isn't it? It used to be politically correct. It used to be a bit right on. I mean, I can't believe you are using the word woke. You bloody communist. Over to the Mail now, with J.K. Rowling saying, "Go on, arrest me if you think my terminology is some sort of hate crime." God, it's so tedious, isn't it? All of this grandstanding. All of this, oh, look how edgy and volatile I can be. Oh, I'm so provocative. So what is this, really, in substance? This is the story that J.K. Rowling has called a load of trans women, men, and she's thrown down the gauntlet. She's given a challenge to the police to say, if this is a hate crime, go on. Come and arrest me for it. And all this ever comes down to, right, it's very simple. I don't know why there's so much anger and confusion about this, right? On this side, on the JK side, they say, okay, if you were born female, biologically, that is all you can ever be. And that is what I will refer to you as. Whereas on the other side, they say, okay, well, I may have been born female, but psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, I feel male. And so I'm going to identify as that. So yeah, I don't know why the JK lot can't go, oh, you feel like a man now. Oh, okay. Yo, I guess I'll go back to writing books. Like, literally nobody is saying they're changing what they were biologically born as. Like, it's the difference between one side arguing about subject A and one side arguing about subject B. Like, you guys are talking about biological sex, while people who are perhaps a little bit more compassionate and understanding of trans are talking about spiritual, psychological, like, nobody's saying... You're arguing about two different things. Like, I don't know why this is so difficult for such an obviously intelligent woman like J.K. Rowling to wrap her head around. Like, why does this sit so comfortably outside the parameters of her imagination? You know, it's like, oh, I wrote stories about goblins and wizards and magicking people into mushrooms and stuff, but this, oh, this is completely unbelievable. Yeah. Over to the Express now. 10 million... junk food addicts are costing Britain billions. Now, this is one of my favourite types of stories that you see the right-wing rags wheel out. It's where they blame an underfunded, starved public service or utility on a small subsection of people who have problems. Like, yes, we should be healthier in the UK. I'm positive that a huge number of us are obese that probably shouldn't be. But what are you, dear viewer, what do you think is the bigger problem? If you were looking at the NHS's balance sheet, what do you think the bigger problem is? from their budget and expenditure perspective is? Is it a few million people who might like a burger more often than they probably should? Or do you think it's the government who underfunds the cancer wards and heart disease and doctors and social care and everything, and then they give away these lucrative contracts for £50 million to all of their mates? They freeze headcounts so they can't hire in the number of doctors and nurses that they actually need, and then the doctors and nurses that are there are forced to work overtime, and then they get overworked and stressed and just walk out on the NHS. Then it's understaffed even more so. Do you think it's a few fat people in Blackpool who love a KFC, or do you think it's the government giving £40 billion of our money to Serco to produce a useless test and trace app? Oh, that is a tricky one. That is proper taxing. Yeah, they should use that for the first round of Children's Trivial Pursuit. In fact, here's an amusing thought for people who like to write pieces like this. Like, people who like cake cost the NHS this much. People who like junk food cost the NHS that much. Like, they're the drain, they're the problem. Not all of the government waste, right? If you're the sort of journalist who likes to write pieces like this, here's an amusing fact for you. Are you ready? Do you know who costs the NHS literally billions every year? Do you know who costs the NHS billions upon billions? And we should really do something about express reading pensioners. Somebody should really look into that.